Pol Pot himself had a deep hatred for the elites and achievers in society, despite himself coming from the upper class. Because of connections, he got a scholarship to Paris to study radio operation and repair. A very low-level kind of scholarship, and yet he failed to even finish his education. So like most poor expats in Paris, he picked up the only thing he can afford in France at that time. The Communist Manifesto. He saw the Cambodian society as corrupt, which is really like most Asian societies of its time, not knowing that communism was not going to solve anything. He came home to Cambodia and achieved very little for himself, but seemed to gain traction with his communistic diatribe. Through the 60s to the mid-70s, the Cambodian communist revolutionaries were propped up by their North Vietnamese allies, who directed a lot of their military success after the ouster of Prince Norodom Sihanouk as prime minister by the CIA. Years of jungle warfare, death and deprivation made many of the Khmer Rouge bitter and angry at the urban Cambodians living under the benefit of the US-funded puppet regime. This, coupled by the fact that their North Vietnamese overlords were steering their own revolution for them, made them so angry that there was almost no one left to hate. When the Khmer Rouge were a few days away from taking the Cambodian capital, they broke with their North Vietnamese allies and expelled or killed them from their ranks, and they entered Phnom Penh free of their former benefactors. The Khmer Rouge captured Phnom Penh 15 days ahead of the fall of Saigon to the North Vietnamese, so they hailed themselves as better than the Vietnamese, when in fact their victory was 90% assisted by Vietnam and helped along by the weak and corrupt US-backed Lon Nol regime that were fighting with unwilling troops and phantom divisions. The whole Cambodian genocide tragedy stemmed from the unfortunate geography of being next to Vietnam. US interventionist policies, Maoist ideology, and a dark vision fueled by the deep personal resentment that Pol Pot always had for the achievements of others, because it emphasized his failures. It was a combination of twisted ideology and ultranationalism. Pol Pot wanted to create a completely new society with no legacy from the past. After victory in 1975, the Khmer Rouge emptied cities and towns, forcing people to the countryside where everyone had to do hard labor. Pol Pot called the first year Year Zero, the beginning of a new revolutionary society where the old way must be eliminated. Parasites were executed outright. Those included the weak, the sick, and people with deviant thoughts. As the Khmer Rouge mismanaged the economy, malnourishment was common, and without medicine many people died needlessly. There were also power struggles within the Khmer Rouge ranks. Just like any political organization, the KR was hardly monolithic. There were pro-China, pro-Vietnam, pro-Soviet factions within the ranks, while Pol Pot hardly trusted China. He cracked down hard on the pro-Vietnam faction or anyone suspected of having sympathy for this faction. Hundreds of thousands of KR cadres were executed outright in the 1978 purges. By the time Vietnam invaded in 1979, somewhere between 1.5 to 3 million Cambodians had perished, and the cities were the ghost towns. I still remember hearing of rumors of mounds of bones in Cambodia. Sometimes in 1978, I thought at the time it was just the Vietnamese government's propaganda. It turned out that the rumors were correct. It was the only way to achieve his vision, such as it was.
Why did Pol Pot kill over 2 million people? It was a combination of twisted ideology and ultranationalism. Pol Pot wanted to create a completely new society with no legacy from the past. After victory in 1975, the Khmer Rouge emptied cities and towns, forcing people to the countryside where everyone had to do hard labor. Pol Pot called the first year Year Zero, the beginning of a new revolutionary society where the old way must be eliminated. Parasites were executed outright. Those included the weak, the sick, and people with deviant thoughts. As the Khmer Rouge mismanaged the economy, malnourishment was common, and without medicine, many people died needlessly. There were also power struggles within the Khmer Rouge ranks. Just like any political organization, the KR was hardly monolithic. There were pro-China, pro-Vietnam, pro-Soviet factions within the ranks, while Pol Pot hardly trusted China. He cracked down hard on the pro-Vietnam faction, or anyone suspected of having sympathy for this faction. Hundreds of thousands of KR cadres were executed outright in the 1977 and 1978 purges. By the time Vietnam invaded in 1979, somewhere between 1.5 to 3 million Cambodians had perished, and the cities were the ghost towns. I still remember hearing of rumors of mounds of bones in Cambodia, sometimes in 1978. I thought at the time it was just the Vietnamese government's propaganda. It turned out that the rumors were correct.